Hello Summoners, welcome to MainDeck Masters. My name is Jacob and I got a deck profile for you for set 4, Savior of Chaos. We've seen Marshall's profile for Hydra, we have seen James's profile for other landers. My profile for this video is going to be the other big boss of Savior of Chaos, and that's going to be Ira. Ira is incredibly powerful. On par with Hydra, Ira is honestly, the Ira deck is the only deck that I've been able to beat Hydra with so far in our testing. So it's going to be, I feel like it might end up being a 2-deck meta where we have Ira versus Hydra and everything else is kind of just underneath all of that. So, of course, this is early testing. We've been doing this all for a few weeks, but I am pretty happy with this list so far, so I'm excited to share it with you. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Ring the bell to be notified of everything. Let's get into it. All right, so to start off, we have, it couldn't be a red deck without 4 Dino Man. Dino Man is just powerful. He comes out as a 6k as your first spirit. He can block almost anything early game for only 1 core on him. He's just that good. He costs 1 at max reduction. He's good. You're playing red, you're playing Dino Man basically.
There you go, that's a good one.
Next we've got 3 Bearded Eagle. Bearded Eagle is just incredibly powerful. It comes down for free. It's a 5k for 2, a 7k for 4. It works really well with Dino Man, having an Eagle and a Dino Man on the board early. It's just a really good card. Also, later in the game, if you draw him later in the game, it can just become fodder for Ira. You play it down for free, put a core on it, drop your Ira, you draw a card off of it. So Eagle is just, it's good. We all know Dino Man and Eagle is a staple in red decks. Next, one of my favorite cards is 3 copies of Horned General Tricera Warrior. This card is exactly like Dino Man in the sense that if you only have 2 spirits, it's automatically level 3. And it's got a decent stat line for it. But its main effect, what we're looking at, is its level 2 effect, where during your turn, any of your spirits that are exhausted cannot be returned to your hand or deck. So you can drop your Ira, wipe their field, drop a Tricera Warrior, and then when you swing with your Ira, they cannot Dream Bomb your Ira or Inescapable Avalanche it because of Tricera Warrior. They have to take care of Tricera Warrior before they can take care of your Ira, which makes it really good. Also, it's a 5 cost with 3 reduction that can easily be 7k with 1 core on it, and it has Confront. It's just a good card. I really, really like this card. It's easily becoming one of my favorite cards in the deck.
Not speak with the dead, he's resurrecting.
And then we have 3 Gray Servant of Siegwurm. This is your Big Bang energy on a body, basically. So if you spend a Soul Core as part of its summoning cost, your next spirit with Ascend has cost equal to your life total. So it's basically Big Bang on a body. Of course, that Soul Core goes to your trash, so if you're playing against blue, you better hope they don't shark you. But sometimes still dropping an Ira on a large blue board is really strong just to draw a bunch of cards. And then its secondary ability, when it attacks you can destroy a level 1 Nexus, is just good. If they're not coring up their Nexuses and keeping them level 2, this guy can pop them turn after turn, and it's just incredibly powerful. And I'm very happy with this card. I don't think I want it at 4 copies, but I think 3 is really good.
And the door opens up and you see a satyr.
And then afterwards, we have probably one of the best red cards in the game. It's 4 copies of Nebula Dragon Andromeda. This card, it destroys your opponent's Nexus on summon. So, you know, what's not to love? We need to control our opponent's Nexuses, because if we control their Nexuses, it's much easier to control the flow of the game, especially if we're going against Nexus heavy decks like blue and yellow. It can completely ruin their game plan if blue drops an early Labyrinth and you drop an early Andromeda and they're not able to ramp anymore. It can be incredibly powerful. Plus, 5 cores for 10k and it gains Confront. It's just a good card. That's why we play it at 4. We don't play it at anything less than 4. We play him at 4. Afterwards, we have 2 copies of Siegwurm Nova. This card is still really good, it turns out. If you need to heal, you've got it because you've already spent the Soul Core off of Gray. So the Soul Core's in your trash, and you just pop that Soul Core into the void and heal back up to 5. It destroys 10k worth of power when it swings, and it's a 12k at 5 cores. It's just really good. Plus, it's another Ascend card to be able to find off of our Ancient draws. And then also, there's a really cool combo where you Ira the board, and then you just Ascend Nova off of Ira so you can heal back up, which is just a really good play. I think 2 is a good number for Nova. Then we have 3 copies of Dustworm Drought Dragon. I love this card. This card is really good. If you're at 3 or fewer life, it costs 3. All of its symbols are fulfilled. And then when it comes down, it blows up a 5k or less. So it's just really good. It comes down for 3 if your opponent swings at you quickly. You know, turn 2, as early as turn 2, you can drop an 8-drop, blow up one of their biggest things, and now you have a big body on the board that they can't flood stream or anything like that in order to, you know, get the flow of the game back into your favor. And also, he's an easy Ascend target off of for Ira. You know, you play this guy for 3, and then you blow something up, and then you bring out Ira, you know, Ascending off of Dustworm Drought Dragon. This card, even in off-color decks, Dustworm Drought Dragon is just really good. Turns out being able to drop an 8-drop for 3 in any deck is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have our man, our dude, our boy, Siegwurm Ira. This guy is nutty. This guy is absolutely nutty. When you Ascend off of a 6 or more, you blow up everything with 1 symbol. That includes your cards. And you draw a card for everything blown up. On average, you're going to draw 3, 4, maybe 5 cards. And, you know, completely reset the board unless they have a 2-symbol spirit on the field. And even if they have a 2-symbol spirit on the field, put 5 cores on this guy and he swings as a 23k without Volcanic Canyon or any other boost because he gives all of your 2-symbol spirits plus 10k. So he's going to swing over anything in the game. Absolutely nothing can match his power level as long as they're not super boosting that card up. So he's just incredibly strong, and when your opponent goes wide and you just drop an Ira on them and completely destroy their board, it's pretty backbreaking. So, and also he swings for 2 damage. And in the case that they have a 2-symbol spirit on the board, you can drop him down and then drop the Tricera Warrior, like I said earlier, and when you swing with him, they cannot bounce him, so they're stuck. And if your opponent's at 2 life, then they're kind of dead. And also with Nexus we're going to see later, it doesn't matter if they block because you're going to be able to swing again. Ira is nasty. He's absolutely gross, and I've even been siding him into my sideboard for decks that aren't red just because he's that good. So that's all of the spirits. Next we are going to get into the Nexus, and we of course have 4 copies of Volcanic Canyon. Volcanic Canyon is just a staple red card. It helps you filter through your deck to find the pieces that you need. It can give your spirits plus 1,000. It's just good. It's just good. There's nothing else to say about that. And then one of my favorite techs so far in this deck is Elden Dragon's Jaw. I run 2 of it. You could probably run a 3rd, but I like 2. Just the fact that when you swing with a spirit, it immediately gains 1k because your exhausted spirits gain 1k can make a big difference, especially if you're going up against, putting a spirit with high BP versus another spirit with high BP. And then that secondary ability, having your Ira be able to restand because you forced your opponent to block it, it just seals games out. I'm really happy with this card. I only have it 2 because I don't absolutely have to see it. I'd rather see Volcanic Canyon, but having it 2 is still really good, and it's a good Nexus. I'm really enjoying it. Then getting into Magics, we of course have 4 copies of Starblessed Draw because it's Starblessed Draw. It's the best draw card in the game, basically, next to Strong Draw. And in red, you burst it, you pay 2, you draw 4. So, and we're in a win summon meta, so Starblessed is just that good. Then we are running 3 copies of Ancient Draw just to be able to get that draw to search top 3 for our Ascend Spirits. Since we are running 6 Ascend Spirits, this can very easily net you an Ascend Spirit when you cast it. It can sometimes even net you 2 Ascend Spirits when you cast it. And in red, it costs 2. So it's really useful, and plus that main flash effect for gaining 5k BP is pretty relevant. I don't think it's needed as a 4 of in red because we have Ira to draw, we have Volcanic Canyon to filter, we have Starblast draw, but at 3, I think it's a good number. Then we are running 3 copies of Burning Forest because we're in red and it costs 3. There's really nothing else to say about that. We're in red, it costs 3, it's really good. On off-color magics, we are running 2 copies of Beam Rifle and or Thorn Prison, whichever one you prefer. I prefer Beam Rifle. Is one of the best magics in the game. Honestly, like, exhaust 2 please. If they swing with their Hydra and they only have 1 other spirit on the field, they raid and restand it, you cast Beam Rifle, now their Hydra is rested. So it's just good. I run the 3rd in the side. I don't think we need 3 in the main deck, but I run the 3rd in the side and it's still just a mainstay in any deck. Then, of course, it's for Absolute Ice Shield because it's Absolute Ice Shield. It lets you survive another turn and hopefully draw into what you need to kill your opponent. So, and then last but not least, we have 3 copies of Dream Bomb because we need to bounce things. We need to bounce Hydras, we need to bounce Tokis, we need to bounce Genbus, we need to bounce this and that. It's a good card. Dream Bomb stonks continue to rise. So that is the main deck, but we are going to get into the side deck. This is how I have the side deck built. It's still, of course, a work in progress. I'm not sure how much I like this. There are some cards that I'm pretty happy with, some cards I'm not super happy with. But to start, we are playing 2 Ritual Fire, specifically Ritual Fire of the Grumps, because it's just a really good art. You know, you can still kill small things with this card, and killing small things can be very important, especially if you're going against some sort of aggro card. It's just good. Like, I'm enjoying it. It comes up very well. It does what it needs to do. We are playing 2 Big Bang Energy in the side, mainly for the blue matchup. If going into gray, spinning our Soul Core, and then getting our Ira Shark afterwards really sucks, we can just side in the Big Bang Energy, so we can have our Star Dragons cost a lot less. The reason why I'm playing this in the side is because I'm playing fewer Star Dragons. You know, we're only playing Andromeda, Ira, Nova, and Dustworm. So half our deck isn't Star Dragons, the other half is, so I think Big Bang is a little less relevant for my deck, but having in the side is proven pretty useful to be able to, you know, bring out, if you have a handful of Star Dragons, bringing them out for free is pretty good. Next, we play 3 copies of Counter Sword in the side because stocks on this card are going to be going up too, because spinning a Mott Genbu, spinning an Ira, spinning Tokiwa, an Armor Form, you get, well, I mean, you can't spin Armor Form because it has Armor White, but you get the idea. Spinning something is really good, and healing yourself for a life is really good. And if your opponent has a Hydra on board and for some reason they decide to set down a Pollen or any other wind summon, you can spin their Hydra because you choose which creature gets spun. So don't play, if you have a Hydra on board, don't play a Pollen if your opponent has a burst card set because you might get counter-sorted. And I just think it's a good card. Does this go into the main? I'm not sure in this deck it goes into the main, but I think it's a sideboard staple at like 3 for every single deck in this meta. Next we have the 3rd Beam Rifle, self-explanatory. If we feel like we need more, we put another one in. And finally we have 2 Floodstream. I'm not too sold on this card in the side because red is destroy your stuff, not deck, but it could be useful for aggro decks, or, you know, to maybe kill an Eagle or a Hundun that's been you know, unblockable by a Genbu or something like that. So it still has its uses, but I'm not sure if it's the best. Yes, my sideboard is all magic cards. That's kind of how I roll usually with my sideboards. But like I said, it's all subject to change. Some of these I'm really happy with, some of them I'm not as happy with, but that's what we're testing for. So, and that is the sideboard. There you go, there's the IRA deck profile. It is probably going to change as the weeks go on, of course, as we develop and understand how the set 4 meta is going to be going. But early on, I think this is a pretty good deck list. It's incredibly strong. It can be almost anything else. And like I said, it's the only deck that I have played so far that has a 50-50 versus the Hydra matchup. Everything else feels like you're just facing a struggle, an uphill battle versus Hydra. This one feels pretty 50-50, so I'm happy with it. Let us know what you think about this list and how maybe you would change it. If you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know down in the comments, but like and subscribe, it helps out more than you think. We'll have more deck lists and gameplay videos coming soon. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.